And for an inside perspective of the report, I spoke to Gary Berntsen. He's a former CIA senior operations officer who spent more than 2 decades with the agency. And we started our conversation by talking about his reaction to Director Brennan's remarks and if it was necessary for the CIA chief to address the report firsthand.
He did several things. He addressed the president's opposition to, enhanced interrogation techniques, and at the same time, he was talking to the workforce there and saying, look, what we did was not unlawful. Some of what we did was useful, and there were those that sort of strayed from the guidelines, and we've got to do better in the future. But it was a unique speech for a CIA director. It was almost a political speech where he was addressing multiple constituencies, and he was, in fact, refuting the Senate report, major portions of it, but provided enough leeway where Senate Democrats won't be calling for his head and asking for him to be removed in large numbers.
In some ways, it sounded like he was defending the CIA. What does this report do to the standing of this agency around the world?
Well, he was defending the agency. He was defending the program. He explained the context under which the program was created, the attacks of 9/11. He explained that the Justice Department had looked at these enhanced interrogation techniques, and they'd gone back multiple times to get reviews on this. But the reality is the standing of the CIA internationally has taken a blow. This is not good for morale inside the agency. People don't want to see these things written about or exposed in this way. And the report really was unfair because they never did, those Senate Democratic staffers that wrote the report never interviewed any of the senior officers in the agency, nor any of the officers involved in the program.
Gary, you spent more than 2 decades with this agency. Will the report's release and the blowback from it force other intelligence agencies around the world to maybe change their techniques and tactics?
I think that's the big question, and I think that the truth is that many countries around the world right now, there are individual countries asking questions of the CIA. Did you do this on our territory? Other countries and other foreign intelligence services around the world will be less likely to cooperate with CIA based on the release of this report. CIA said to them, please help us, work with us on this secret program, and their cooperation now has been exposed for the world to see in an ugly way.
What has been the reaction from some of your former colleagues at the CIA and the International Intelligence Agency? Can you tell us what's being said among the clandestine community away from the cameras?
Well, I think that in my discussions with former and current officers, they're horrified by the release of the report. The Obama administration has taken a program that was run 10 years ago, that's been turned off for at least 7 years, that has been debated publicly already, and had a 6,000-page report written and a 480-page summary made public to the world. It was unnecessary. And that is the feeling. It was unnecessary, and it was a political effort by this administration to sort of push back against the right and to push back against the agency and the clandestine service, because the president and his political supporters are fundamentally opposed to clandestine activity. They really are.
One more question. A lot of people would say, these tactics ended in 2007. If some of them worked, then why did they end?
Well, I think that some of them did work, but the reason that they ended these things is it was determined by this president that he thought that they ran contrary to the moral values of the United States, and so they decided at that point that was going to be it. They weren't going to proceed forward on this, and they recognized that there was political danger. The problem, again, is what are we going to do in the future? How are we, the United States, going to face threats if we have a weapon of mass destruction and terrorists are captured with it? Are we going to read them the Second Amendment rights, which say, you have the right to remain silent? Or are we going to use the U.S. military manual, which has absolutely nothing in it? I mean, the United States hasn't addressed how it will deal with terrorist threats, because right now small groups of people can do catastrophic effect. They can leverage technology to kill millions, and the United States really hasn't effectively addressed how it's going to deal with these types of threats, other than the law enforcement model, which does not work.
All right, former CIA Senior Operations Officer Gary Berntsen, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure being with you today.